All right, Answer Outdoors fans. Today we're talking about an awesome subject, which is the ultimate whitetail rifle. So stick around. I'm going to give you some little features and things you might want with your rifle and tell you why my setup is my setup and why yours should probably be very similar. Stick with me. Here it comes. Hello everyone, welcome to Answer Outdoors. I'm Justin Hunnell, and thank you for allowing me to fuel your outdoor passion. Oh hey, there you are. Check it out. Today I want to go over my whitetail rifle rig and kind of what we're looking at on it. And the reason it sits as it sits, the caliber, the model, the setup overall, an ammo choice for me, optics, mounts, and some small accessories that I have on this that make it particular to me, and some changes I would make. So let's start off with the base of everything. This is the rifle, obviously. It is a Savage 116 Weather Warrior, so the 116 is stainless steel. This particular model is circa 2013, so it has the AccuStock and AccuTrigger. AccuStock is aluminum bedding inside the stock. AccuTrigger is the now world famous, innovative, basically match trigger that Savage came out with years and years ago. But it took the world by storm when it came out, and really every company has done something like this afterwards. So this is again in a 270 Winchester. So the 116, I like that it is stainless steel, that I can neglect it a little more than I probably should in the field. I spent a lot of time during the very short times I hunt with guns. I spent a lot of time in wall tents and kind of backcountry-ish, no power, primitive camping, that sort of thing. So a tough gun really matters to me. I'm also very inclement, in very inclement weather in the Northeast mostly. So, I hunt on days where it could be pissing rain or snow or sleet, literally, the old Postman's Creed type thing. So I need a rifle that's a little more impervious to that sort of thing. So the 116 has all the attributes I need as far as super accurate, well built, ultra reliable. I have an older 111. They did some things to this is obviously it's a 7-year-old gun, but when I say older, I have a 20-year-old 111. The safety on this particular firearm is a much bigger thumb tang safety. 3-position, which I do like with a Savage. I do have a detachable magazine. If you're looking at a whitetail rifle, that system, which is what this is for me, is my system. I do like a detachable magazine. It's not a necessity. I like being able to pop it in, pop it out, and kind of know where I'm at with that. We're not talking Western hunting where we're worried about, do we have a shell, a live round in the chamber. We got to put it in and, turn the safety off when we're ready to fire. Basically at all times in whitetail world, I have a live round in the chamber. And my safety, for most intents and purposes, not all intents and purposes, but most, I have it in the middle position, which is safe, non-fire, but I can still manipulate the bolt. If I'm going specifically to stand to and from, I will have it on full safe. But, doing the kind of still hunting, and I do a lot of still hunting, which is a stalking, walking, tracking. We'll bring all that together into one realm and call it still hunting. I keep it in the middle position. So I like the detachable magazine just for the simplicity of being able to pop my rounds out. If I'm crossing a fence, it's one shell in all my rounds. I do quite a bit of fence crossings, dam crossings, crazy crossings, and I am a bit of a gun safety nut, so I make sure that I do unload my firearm when that's happening. The other thing about it is, hunting public land, I do have interactions with game wardens often. I am coming out in the very dark sometimes, and I like having that magazine in my pocket, stowed away in my pack, and having one shell that I just know I have to pop out if it's an unsuccessful hunting day. So that's really why I like the detachable magazine. Synthetic stock, man, it's not pretty. It doesn't breathe. It feels cold, but at the same time, this is a pretty high quality synthetic stock in the higher end Savage series, and I like it so that it doesn't put any undue or unforeseen torques, moisture, bubbles, anything like that. I don't have any pressure on my free floated barrel because all of a sudden the stock warped or twisted. It's a piece of plastic. It's dead. It's never been alive. It's not going to swell. Nothing's going to happen to it. So I like that. And I like that I don't have to worry about scratching it. I beat the shit out of this gun. I really do. And it's been a great gun for that. So that's kind of where the gun itself lays. 270 Winchester, maybe the most all-around practical whitetail round. Please don't get in an argument about this. I own other rifles. I own tons of rifles. I have shot tons of rifles. I've killed deer with a bunch of different calibers. Let's not get hung up on the caliber too much. Mine happens to be a 270. Man, I can shoot, all the way down to a 90 grain. This doesn't really have the twist rate for that, or up to, they now make, you can get into that 190 grain range, I believe it is. Again, I don't have the twist rate for that, but for most all of my whitetail hunting, I am running 150 grain Ferrell Fusion. It shoots awesome out of this gun, and I'm not expecting a 400 yard shot, so this is a great bullet sub 200 yards. It's a great bullet beyond 200 yards, but really, in that whitetail woods, I have yet to hit something with that and not been impressed at its that pill's ability to anchor game. So 150 grain Fusion. I know that the sectional density and the ballistic coefficient can be better on a 130, but sectional density, the ballistic coefficient would be better on a 150. But I'm not shooting 1,000 yards. I'm shooting 200, maybe 250 yards. And most of my shots come within 40 yards, 50 yards, 60 yards. So that's kind of where that bullet choice came from. And it shoots really well out of this gun and has anchored everything I've ever shot with it. I have not ever hit a whitetail and not had it go down with that bullet. That being said, I also have, I've only ever shot one deer twice with that round, and that was simply because I didn't want it to run farther downhill. So I shot a deer, it turned to run downhill farther. I was going to have to move that, the meat uphill, so I shot it to kind of anchor it where it was and put it down where it was. Other than that, everything's been a one shot and dropped within 20 yards. So the bullet performance has been phenomenal. I think it's a great whitetail bullet, Ferrell Fusion. I also shoot it on my 30-06 for whitetails, and I'm really impressed with it. So 270, it's great. I can shoot flat, essentially out to 300 yards. Put my crosshairs on it, pull the trigger type of deal. I don't have to worry about too much with that round. It's proven I can buy ammunition everywhere. It's not terribly hard to find, and I'm just a fan of that round. And also, its brethren in the 30-06, a 280, or a 25-06. I think those are all great whitetail choices. And any of the short action versions as well. 308, 6.5 Creed is considered that, and 7mm 08. Anything in that range, I tend to steer away from the a 6mm bullet, maybe a little smaller. I want to go, and I truly don't believe with a rifle like this. I truly don't believe you need to have a Magnum rifle to hunt whitetails. A 270 mimics a 7mm mag for all intents and purposes with similar ammunition, and if you go to like a solid copper bullet or something like that with 90% weight retention, you're going to be fine with 130 or 150 grain bullet comparatively to going to a 7mm mag with more recoil and more expensive rounds, and you're shooting a 165 grain bullet or 100, somewhere in that range, and that bullet is a bonded, jacketed bullet, but not solid. The weight retention is going to be very similar to 270. So that's why really the 270 is a great whitetail mule deer pronghorn round. That's not a Magnum that you can load down for a smaller shooter if you want to. Let's move on from the gun. On top we have Leupold standard STD standard mounts. So, you know, you twist this front one in with a nice plastic wrench, and this rear one is windage adjustable, so you can make macro adjustments to windage with your rear base. It's all Torx bits, so you know everything is nice, tight, done well. I've used this mounting system, so for those of you that know me well enough to know that I worked at a gun counter for like 14 years. I've used this mounting system on thousands of rifles, and when installed correctly, I've never seen it fail. So there's other great mounting systems out there. I run Warren on some of my stuff. I'm not scared of a little heavier mount, but I've just on this particular setup, I run this Leupold and I really like it, and I don't see myself going away from it. It's just a good system. It's bulletproof. It never moves. The scope, I've sighted in once. I've never had to change it at all from where I want it, which is essentially sighted dead on at 200 yards. So that's awesome. This scope is a Vortex 2-7 by 35 with their BDC reticle Diamondback. It's a great scope. They don't make it anymore. They only make that power in rimfire. I like that 2-7. My uncle Andy had a 270 Remington 700 270 mountain rifle with 2-7 on it, and I think for me, Leupold also makes a 2.5 to 8. That's a great power. 3 to 9 is fine. I have a 3 to 9 Leupold. 4 to 12 is going to get to that upper side of where I want to be. I like that low in that 2s power, because I still hunt so much. I want something with a fast acquisition that I can pull up and put the crosshairs on and don't have to worry about finding the game in the scope. I mount my own scopes. So when I do that, I make sure that I'm mounting them for proper eye relief at you know, multiple powers. Understanding that I leave my scope on 2 because it has the widest field of view. So in theory, nobody can mount the scope 100% properly for you unless you're there to explain to them how you weld, how your cheek weld is on a rifle, how you pull your rifle up and anchor it to your body. So that's why I do all that work myself. But with that, 2, it's 2 times closer. 7, it's 7 times closer, and everything in between. So, you know, essentially at 100 yards, if I had to just pull up and take a quick shot, it's going to look like it's 50 yards away and I'm putting a crosshair on it. That's easy. At 210 yards, just so my math's easy, if I have to crank it up to 7, I can take a 210 yard shot at 7 power. It's going to look like it's 30 yards away with putting crosshairs on vitals at 30 yards. If I can't handle those sort of situations, it has nothing to do with the scope's power, and it has nothing to do with the gun itself. That is me, and I need to spend more time at the range and getting familiar with firing, accurately firing a firearm. So 2 to 7, in my opinion, will handle just about everything I've ever encountered in the Whitetail woods, with the exception of maybe shooting bean field and stuff like that. And I'm not ever going to shoot out of shooting houses. I'm a public land hunter. I'm DIY. I take, you know, I hunt out of a saddle. I hunt off the ground. I hunt in a ghillie suit. Those are the ways I hunt. So it's just never going to happen that I need a, you know, 5 to 15 or something bigger than that. I have a 4 to 12 on one rifle, and that's probably as big as I'll ever get on a whitetail rig. But this is the gun I take with me most of the time, and it has a 2 to 7, and I really love that power variance. You'll see I have Butler Creek scope caps. They're both clear, so these are the Blizzard caps. I had the thumb button job around this guy, and it kept snapping off, so I took it off. And, you know, there's other scope caps out there, and I might change those in time, but these have always worked well for me, especially with the front. I try and keep the clear sections very clean. Obviously, I'd like to have it not fog, but I also like to be able to pull the scope up and still see through if I have to, and still have some sort of protection for the lenses. So these have always served me pretty well. But obviously, when I get on stand, as long as it's not super inclement weather, I have these tipped up, and I just keep them up the whole time if I'm hunting out of a stand. Another quick thing you'll see, I have a shell holder on my stock. This is just an inexpensive, I think this is a Redhead, so it was Bass Pro Shops. Allen makes these, a bunch of other companies make these. This one might get changed out. It's getting a little worn in the elastic here, so I consistently will lose like these front 3 shells. And I just don't know if it's the juice is worth the squeeze as far as, you know, keeping this on. but like I said, this one's been on for 7, going on 8 years. So I think, it's time to just get a little better quality one. Not a big deal though. I might also take it off because it does grab some stuff as I'm still hunting and walking through. But I like not having shells rattle around when I'm using this, and I like having, essentially 5 in my gun, and then there's 9 on this, and then there's another 4 on this Butler Creek sling, and so I'm hoisting almost a full box of ammunition around with me without carrying it all on the gun. So I don't know. I can take this or leave it, and the same thing with the shells on the sling. I just like knowing that I have ammunition with me. If I am hunting someplace like the Moose River Plains in New York, you can get lost there and really be lost. So I like having a little extra ammunition in case I have to shoot 3 times and then shoot 3 more times. That has happened with our crew before. So that's neither here nor there, I guess, but it's just kind of my rundown. Again, an inexpensive Butler Creek sling. I think, honestly, I got this one at Walmart. I like it. It's comfortable. It's neoprene. You can put some extra shells on there. I use the Uncle Mike's sling swivels. You can get these, they're pretty inexpensive too. And if the slings come with anything other than this on them, I will not buy them. So like, I really like the claw slings, but they have those like screw through mounts, swivels, and I don't like those at all. I want to be able to take this off if I so choose. Although my sling kind of lives on my gun and I very often don't take it off. If I'm really taking my time to still hunt and kind of creeping along, I may take the sling off and either stuff it in my pack or cross it across my body and just snap it. So that way there's nothing hanging on the gun as I'm, going through cover. I just really prefer this style sling swivel to the ones that are becoming popular that you have to like screw through, and it's just, they're a pain. I don't understand why they're doing that. And I'm not going to take the time when this sling works perfectly awesome to unstitch one on a claw, put those sling swivels on there, and then restitch it. That doesn't make sense to me either. So this is kind of where I've fallen with rifle and shotgun slings. I have one of these on a brown and gold as well, just no shell holder, but it's the same exact sling. You're going to want a sling on your whitetail rig. So with that, this is not to say this is the only way and only route you need to go. This is the idea of a whitetail rig to me. And to me, this is my ideal whitetail rig. But for those of you that are beginning in this whole thing, you can look at a Remington 700, a 783, a Savage Axis, a Savage, any of the 111, 110, 116. Any Savage is fine. A Weatherby Vanguard, a Weatherby AccuMark, Mark V, any of those. Winchester XPR, Winchester Model 70, Ruger M77 Hawkeye, Ruger American. I think, Browning X-Bolt, Browning A-Bolt. I could go on and on. But any of those, I'm sure I missed one that somebody's going to chastise me about. Let's not do that, but whatever. Any of those rifles is a fine bolt action rifle. And if you learn how to manipulate a bolt action properly, you can have fast follow-up shots. For instance, this past year I was hunting and I was able to, the doe that I mentioned earlier, I shot twice at that, turned around to walk over and then saw a buck coming downhill. I was firing uphill. I missed the first shot and was able to kill that deer with the second shot within like literally racking the bolt and never coming off target, racking the bolt and squeezing the trigger again. So that was, 4 shots, and if you compact it all together, it was 4 shots within like 4 seconds. So you can really manipulate a bolt action rifle quite fast. And there's other rifles I lust after. One of those is a 7600 Patrol or that 35 Whelen carbine. And I like that for the fast follow-up, but this, if you put me to it, this rifle is going to handle anything I can give it in the whitetail woods. So I can still hunt with this. I can stand hunt with this. I can shoot 200, 300 yards with this rifle. I can shoot 20 yards with this rifle. It's a good all-around gun. It's not crazy long. It doesn't have a huge muzzle brake on it. It's not heavy. It's about 8 pounds, total rigged out. So that's kind of going to be the niche, the middle ground that those rifles it's set up with a scope like this. And again, you can do a 3 to 9 or a 2.5 to 8, or some guys will go with even shorter and smaller objective lens. So a 1 to 4 to 20 by 20 or something similar. My advice would be, a 2 to 7, 3 to 9, somewhere in that range. That 2.5 to 8 if you can squeeze into one. Or there's some other great scope companies out there that are coming out with, like a 2 to 10, 2 to 12. So they're starting to go to higher multiplication factors to get to higher ranges. That's all awesome. Go ahead and do that as a scope. Again, you're going to want to be on that lower side, because if we're facing it in most whitetail situations, at least in the east, and as you start to creep wherever they may roam as far as where you can hunt them with a rifle, you're probably going to be on lower magnification if you're a DIY public land hunter, more than you're going to be on higher magnification. And again, if you can't crank it up to 7 and hit it at 200 and something yards, we need to talk about your marksmanship to begin with. So the idea of the rifle, any of those bolt actions I mentioned would work great. Any major quality scope manufacturer would be fine. If you want to do Weaver style mounts, that's great. I really, really think, people don't spend enough time and money on their mounting system. It's the part that holds all of this together, so please take a little time, do some research, and study up on that. I cannot speak highly enough about the loop-hold system, the STD mounts. And from there, pick a reasonable caliber. Some guys will argue 243, and that's fine. So anything, 243 on up through, and just realize that you don't have to go to a Magnum to shoot 200, 250, 300 yards. And again, you can walk through anywhere in the world and probably find a nice, reasonable used bolt action 30-06, 270, 280, maybe 308, 7mm 08. You're probably not going to find a used 6.5 Creed, but you can buy a Ruger American for like $400 in 6.5 Creed if you want, or 308. Don't think that you have to buy the higher echelon of the guns. The Savage Axis is a great gun. The Thompson Center Compass, I believe it is a great gun, I've heard. So I've shot an Axis. I haven't shot TC. I own a TC muzzleloader. They're a great company. So any of those bolt action rifles and any of those reasonable calibers with a nice lower end as far as power side, variable scope, a reliable mount, a decent sling, and you're in the woods, and you will never need another whitetail rifle. It's not to say you're not going to want one, but you're never going to need one. So it's just a quick rundown of my whitetail rig. Thank you guys so much. Stick around for 5 seconds after this, and I want to chat a little bit about the direction of this channel. I appreciate it. As always, stay safe, shoot straight, and catch a big one. Alright guys, thank you for sticking around, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the direction of Answer Outdoors in this channel. So, when all this started, it was during COVID, and I was thinking that I would turn this into a business, and if that happens, that's fine and well. But my concentration will shift. First of all, I fish, and I like to fish, and I enjoy fishing, and I'm a decent angler. But that is not really where I see my audience and this channel and outlets, blog, the whole thing, audience coming from. There's plenty of fishing folks out there, and there's plenty of fishing folks that just do fishing. So it's not to say that you're not going to see fishing videos on here, a little advice, or you can't ask me questions, because on the website I field any questions you have, my Facebook, my Instagram, all that stuff. But I found that I answer a whole shit ton more questions on hunting stuff. So that's really where the concentration of this channel is going to go. And I'm going to try and move away from an affiliate program sort of deal, to just bring you guys great content and informative stuff. So I've teamed up with a couple companies in the past, and I'm still teamed up with a few. I do a lot of research, and I really take a lot of times, simple stuff that other folks aren't doing that I really think I can help you with. Building arrows, kitting out for winter time, getting ready for hunting out of a tent, getting ready for hunting out of a car, getting ready for scouting a state that I have no chance to get to, but then trying to be successful. Deciding, this past year in Ohio, I was hunting and I had to decide between, shooting a spike horn on the second to last day that was 13 yards away or something like that, and I could have poked him with an arrow, or, not. Making those decisions is tough when you spend $250 on a tag and you got to be willing to eat it. Safety, falling out of a tree, getting struck by lightning, those things have happened to me. About slicing my finger off with a knife while processing a deer. That's an honest situation. Like, those things have happened. So those kind of in the hunting realm, I've experienced a lot, and it's not to say I'm an expert, but I'm pretty well versed, and I have a sundry of friends that are more well versed than I am even. I can tap for knowledge. So I do realize that most of my audience, the audience for this channel, is hunting centered, and this channel will become and transform more into hunting centered stuff. Please don't hesitate to ask if you have a fishing question, and I may do some basic 101 stuff because I want to help some kids and some onset adult hunters, anglers, stuff like that. Those folks get into the outdoors and really enjoy it. But, as I look at this, the most popular videos I make have to do with hunting, and I'm going to stick to that. And the vision for this is to become an outdoor life or field and stream sort of outlet where I can help folks and also bring people on to help folks do better in the outdoors, with no paywall, with no limit to the information I'm giving. So this is going to be the first video with a new camera. I went out and got a new camera, a new mic, the whole thing. And you will see this little bit after a bunch of videos because I just feel like this is the most important message. So again, Answer Outdoors is converting, no paywall. Click links below if you want to, and that's awesome. Please subscribe and tell other people. But I really just want to bring good, solid content with great information out to all the people that love the outdoors and help you enjoy your time more. So I can only thank you so much I can't thank you enough really for supporting me through this. I have content coming out in a bunch of other channels that is kind of unbranded. So go over to trophyline.com, check out the blog. I have a bunch up there. If you guys are interested in any sort of weird stuff, question-wise, shoot me a line. I have a lot of kind of fingers out in the world to figure out some niche stuff like float fishing, like saddle hunting, like, just a lot of weird little stuff like that where we have these very specific niches. But then also prospecting. I'm not into it, but I do write for an outdoor magazine that is into it, so I could probably hook you up with that too. I just have a lot of content out there right now with a lot of different avenues and a lot of different folks, and I'm helping a lot of people out with that stuff, and I don't want to take too much time away from Answer Outdoors anymore. I want to get you guys a bunch of good content. So thank you again. Expect to see a bunch more and expect to see a higher quality, and I appreciate your time.